Alright, what's up everybody? It is I'm So Cutie, and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite decks, Amethyst Steel. I just ended up playing this list that I'll be going over at a case tournament, and I did get to the top 4 after being 8th seed. I did beat the first seed in the top cut on the draw. This deck has been exclusively the deck I was going to play for sure. Within the first week or two of tournaments, mainly because of cost, accessibility, and the card pool and things like that. And it was a deck that I've struggled to play a lot for a little bit, but I really feel like I understood it, and this deck has become my favorite so quick. It is just such a good deck, and I think that my take on the deck is actually pretty different. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of the same, you know, your 1, 2, 3 strength and all that good stuff, but this is actually a really good one for me. And I hope I can break it down for some of y'all and hopefully play Amethyst Steel and take home, maybe be set champs, maybe be a CCS placing, the next DLC, the next CCQ, or just local tournament, case tourneys, box tourneys. But let's get right into it. So again, popularity rankings is actually really different to what I believed. Blurple is not really that big anymore. In terms of popularity, it does make top cut performances and things like that, but Purple Steel is absolutely the #1 most played deck. The very first CCQ in Paris happened, and then the CCQ in Barcelona happened, and both of them saw Purple Steel and Blue Steel just be absolute monsters during Swiss. It was just amazing, but we saw Dogs Chronicon win, so popularity rankings are going out the window. I'm going to change up this whole thing because this is all expected meta, but we're seeing a true meta now, and so hopefully I can overhaul this for the next video that we make. I'm likely going to make a video on Blurple and or Dogs Chronicon because I knew that deck was still going to be so good, but you know, it happens. So this is the list. This is the exact list that I brought to the tournament at the case tourney that I performed. Honestly, probably the best I ever have with something like Purple Steel. The deck felt amazing. I mean, the deck played amazingly. But there's a lot of things that are different. I only played the 8 1-drops. People play 12. People play 11. People play 10. I only played the Calhoun and the Jafar. People don't play Jafar anymore. They play Huron. They play the Violet even. And then again, Giant Cobra, Rose. We haven't seen Rose that much anymore. We never see the Lilo, and I put Lilo in. I do have Pete at 4. And then I have Lexington split with the Genie. That's something that we do not see at the moment. And we also see that I have no Doc, and I'll get into that just a little bit later. But then I have the 3-3 split with the Yzma Dumbo. Yzma was absolutely amazing all weekend long. Lilo was absolutely amazing all weekend long. I would not change anything. Hades was amazing all weekend long. I honestly feel like I hit the nail on the head with this list, especially the way that I wanted to play the list. It's been just amazing. There are a couple count changes barely that I made, some few tech choices and things like that, but my matchup spread was basically Blue Steel twice, Green Purple once, Amber Steel once, Purple Steel Mirror once, and Green Blue once. So those were my matchups, and I went 3-2 to get into the 8th seed and bubble in, and then I went 4-2, and then we split the case in the top 4 after I had won my top 8 match. I would have been on the draw, and it was also hosted by my sponsored store, so I wanted to split. It was an early day. It was really fun, and yeah, it was just a good time. But this is the deck, and it's been amazing. So why Purple Steel, right? Especially in a meta where we have semi-limited removals still. Drawing cards is just one of the strongest things ever, and you basically always have to play purple. I wanted to play a deck that basically is a catalyst to purple running rampant. And it really wasn't Blurple, because in Blurple you're kind of pulled to have to play this higher curve, and you're not really staying tight to like the 4 and 6 range where I really like to stay. So Purple Steel was the only deck that could afford to run, basically, it could run 16. At first I did run 16, so it was 4-4-4-4. You're running 16 cards that say draw 1 or more cards every single time, and then something like Dumbo says draw as many as you have on the board, basically. And they're just amazing bodies in general. Guidebook has been crazy. Guidebook is so much better than Doc. I think Guidebook should replace Doc. Doc is dead. I do not want to ever play Doc, man. Woodchuck has just been phenomenal. And we'll get into that a little later. I also love the non-interactables. The thing that I really loved about pre-rotation was playing discard. In a game like Disney Lorcana, where you're not allowed to interact in the other player's turn, playing discard was a higher skill ceiling because it's the only time that you actually get to interact with the opponent's resources, really. Besides maybe manipulating their ink with like the new Daisy and stuff like that, or like having Pete. But like Pete says you can't play cards in your hand anymore. Rose and Cobra are things that are like almost fully live always, and they can't be stopped. There's no way for them to strip. Well, there's ways for them to strip your hand, but there's no way for them to say no to your lore unless they're playing something very niche, like the Peter Pan that's super rare, the super rare Peter Pan that used to be played but isn't played anymore. And so things like Cobra and Rose are just they make me feel like I can be in control of the game tempo, because my opponent isn't allowed to interact with them until they're on the board, but they get value when they're in my hand always. Even their existence in the late game is so crazy. A lot of the time I won't even draw these cards for the first like 25 cards that I draw in the game, but once I trigger Yzma twice, trigger the book 4 times, trigger Dumbo a couple times, I have stockpiled roses in my hand and I'm looking to end the game. So that's something that I really enjoy about Purple Steel, and no other deck can really do that. The only like thing you can really say is things like Hades and Vincenzo, and things that have like a lot of other on-play effects. But the thing is, they don't actually interact with your board the way you want them to. They just remove a body usually, or they just like don't allow you to quest. These cards produce something every single time they come onto the board, and they deny something every single time they come onto the board, which is something that I just really enjoy and that I miss from discard. And I honestly think that discard was a very good mechanic that had a very high skill ceiling, but people obviously did not want to play against it. And I understand the rotation and the lack of reprint from Prince John and things like that, but in a game like Disney Lorcana, I think Purple Steel has been one of like the highest skill ceiling decks that I've ever played, in terms of like curve complexity, and just kind of how you have to understand matchups, and it's been super fun. So that, again, these are like the two major reasons. I wanted to draw a lot of cards, and I wanted to feel like I could swing the game. So again, why no Doc? Doc is uninkable. Sometimes you'll have Yzma, and then you can't ink the very last card, and the very last card is Doc. So what's the correct answer? Probably take the Doc draw and then try to mill it again, and then Yzma trigger, or Yzma trigger for 2, do something and then save Doc for later. I don't like that. You're basically denying your Yzma from getting her full value, and Yzma is just an amazing card. I cannot, every single match that I had, whether it be green blue or blue steel, matches that I should regularly lose on the draw, Yzma just pulled me through so hard. And it was the idea that I could get rid of my thing like Guidebook over Doc. A lot of the times I would set up Yzma, mill my hand, drop the item, take the Yzma draw, then take the Guidebook draw. You can't do that with Doc. You can't draw 5 cards with Doc. You can draw 5 cards with Doc, but it requires the cards that you drew into from Yzma to be disposable, almost, right? So the value of Guidebook is just amazing. It's one more cost and a non-interactable. That's so much better, and it's inkable. Like, it's just playing Friends. Like, you're gonna tell me that Friends on the other side is bad, then because Friends on the other side doesn't produce a body like Doc? Why didn't people play Doc at 4 every single time and not play Friends on the other side? It's just a bad argument. Guidebook just plays well with Yzma. It's one of the most disgusting combos that I've been able to play, and Doc just doesn't do it anymore. Doc doesn't do it for me. It's the same reason why I like to play Rose now as well at higher counts, like at 3 in the first list, because I don't care about this body that Doc gives me, right? I don't care about this 1/3 that quests for 1. I'm gonna be playing a super sustained deck. I'm gonna be producing things like Lexington, Pete, Happy, Jafar, Evasives, Hades to draw me even more cards or remove characters on the board, and then I'm gonna swing so hard, and then on top of my swing, I'm gonna put Cobra and Rose. I don't need Doc to do that. I don't need Doc. I don't want Doc. This deck is also like 8 uninkables. That's amazing. That's health. These 4 cards have been just absolutely overperforming. They've just been the best cards. Madam Mim Skater was a card that was put in to produce 4 because of Tiana. Lilo lets me swing into Tiana through her effect and still take her on a double dip. Like, I could dip Hook Calhoun, take it for free, and essentially, and then I still establish the body that needs to sing strength the following turn. So it doesn't sound good, but it's the same thing as taking my entire turn to hit it with the Skater Mim, right? It's the exact same concept, but Lilo, and then when it comes to blue steel, that is just so rampant and so popular. They have Tink, Jasmine, Hades, Namari, all these cards that they think are just impenetrable and they have to double dip. Play Lilo. Lilo is just so good. It's just too good. I swung so many times on a blue steel player that just did not understand that I had Lilo almost every time. And Belle also has just been an amazing card. I mean, trading so tightly within like the 4 and 5 range of ink, you're just able to maneuver so incredibly well with these cards. And again, once you get spookied, yeah, you're playing the most steroid version of Blurple ever to exist. It's just amazing. It's been amazing. These cards have been overperforming, so I'm not giving them like a little highlight like I'm gonna do for the rest of the cards, like I always do. But again, I just wanted to really highlight these 4 cards that maybe some people just don't play. Like some people don't play Lilo, and some people don't like Lilo. People are cutting Yzma. They don't like Yzma. They want to play Goliath. People don't want to play Genie. They want to play Lexington. People want to play the 12 1-drops. I just don't like that, right? And that's just me. So, good cards. Hades has been amazing. At first, I didn't actually believe that Hades was good because I always thought that people would opt into taking the removal rather than the draw. But when you genuinely play, there is a lot more thought process that goes into it because there's cards in hand and cards in the opponent's hand. And that's all visual and that's all being taken in. I was given the draw almost every single time with Hades, and that is just so crazy. I mean, you give me the draw, and I get to draw into Strength, I get to draw into a book, I get to draw into Yzma or a Dumbo or an Elsa, and I'm just going to swing again. I'm going to swing anyways. So Hades is like the attempt to swing, or you're going to let me swing anyways, right? Especially into really high curve decks that are balancing 2 or 3 cards in hand, like at the moment green, blue, and blue steel. They're going to give you the draw almost every single time, and that's like a semi-wrong choice. But then if they don't let you take the draw and they remove one of their big characters for this Hades drop, that's the wrong choice, right? So it's like you never actually make the right choice with Hades, and it's just very difficult in the situation that you're in, and in the situations that he should come up, there's usually not a good choice. And that's the whole point with Hades, right? You play him when there is no good choice, when both options are just the absolute best options for you. And a lot of times I would act like I'm ready to take the 2 draws because that's what I wanted, but in reality I just wanted to remove. And if I wanted to remove, I would act like I just wanted to remove and I wouldn't take the draw, and they'd give me the draw, and then I would draw into Strength or another 1-drop to make Strength hit for 4. There's just a lot of interactions that Hades lets you do, and Hades has been just incredibly impressive, and everybody knows that. He's a $35 card right now. He's been amazing, obviously, but I just really wanted to highlight how well he is performing, especially in a deck like Purple Steel, where you're just producing and producing, right? Lexington has been amazing. There's a lot of times where people forget his effect. I'll have like 3 or 4 cards in hand, and they'll Hades my Exerted Lexington. Like, what are we doing, dude? He's not gonna ready. It's just something that really punishes poor players, but that is also why I did have the split. Into Blurple, you can get Elsa Exerted, and then you won't even be able to ready. So, another reason why I enjoy Lilo is because I play Happy Jafar. So in the situation where they want to exert the Lexington to keep the Genie protected, you can Lilo swing if you need to. And if they want to dip it and play for Belle next turn or whatever, I don't think anybody really do that. But there's just always ways to swing with Jafar and Happy, and that's kind of why I play the whole package. I think I have a little slide on that as well. But Lexington has been amazing. His stat line is great, and Belle is just amazing with him. Again, Happy and Jafar. The reason why I play Happy and Jafar and not like Palace and Diablo is that you're already drawing a lot. And, like, if you're really good at balancing resources, you're not going to want the Diablo trigger, right? Like, it's nice when you're maybe, like, in a lower-end steel mirror, but the likelihood is that you don't actually need those Diablo draws, and they feel nice, and they feel snowball-y, but being able to have Happy and Jafar with stat lines to have Lilo swing for so much is just crazy. And, again, if you're going to provide, if you're going to put, like, Genie on curve or Lexington, people are going to want to swing it, right? People are going to want to swing and protect their genies and Elsas if they have a higher purple curve than you. And Happy and Jafar just basically make it so that you can always check it and then go into your Yzma Dumbo turn, or go into like the Hades Elsa turn to respond even after that, and then likely remove another character or draw a card. And things like that are just so intricate, and it's just good. It's just a meta where like these stats kind of matter. I wish there was a character like Happy that was like maybe even like a 1/3, like 1/3 evasive would be amazing, or like a 2/2, even a 2/2. Like if Happy was 2/2, he'd be like tier 1 card for me. But they've been amazing, and Huron just doesn't do that, and Palace Guard doesn't do that. Like he just soaks damage. Diablo doesn't do that. And I did beat the mirror with this, so I wasn't too upset about having this, and I did enjoy them. And they're also there for Dumbo synergy, right? Like you don't want Dumbo to just be a one-off, like a one-off trigger. You want synergy, and you want to present the threat that if they don't clear this, the likelihood that you have a Dumbo that could draw you another card is high. So your high value resources should go here instead of like your 3-drop that is just like alert or whatever. So these have been great. The only card that I will say that was lackluster at all during the playing and testing is Dumbo. The thing is, Dumbo isn't necessarily a curve card anymore for this deck, where I feel like back in the day it kind of was, just because it provided you, like, it was just a crazy card. It was like a crazy non-interactable evasive card that was just really good, that basically presented a grind. In this deck, it's almost always Yzma. Like, Yzma Book is just so crazy. It's just such a broken combo. I love Yzma Book so much. But Dumbo just really helped when it was like post spooky turns, right? Like post spooky and like really late game, like playing a Dumbo after your Yzma triggered. Like, do you care about Yzma or do you care about my Dumbo like starting to farm and grind you out with like Cobra Rose, right? Because like the point of Dumbo is that he's drawing and gaining a lore, so he's still questing every turn. Yzma is meant to like swing. Yzma's meant to swing. Dumbo's meant to grind. So something like Dumbo in the late game has just been amazing. I didn't really like him on curve. That's the only reason why I say he's a little lackluster. And obviously he takes a turn like everything else to trigger, and it's only 1 card versus 2 or 3 cards from Yzma. That's the only reason why. But he's still been really good, and that's why I still have him at 3. And that's why I played him at 3. I did count. I think I'd changed him in the further list, but this is the only thing that I'm really nitpicking. For mulligan purposes, if the entire hand is bad, you do not have strength, you do not have the 1-drop, it's just like 5 drops, right? But you see like one of these two, I'll always hold a 2-drop. Like, something that I really learned from Brendan DeCandio when I was watching his videos and playing Steel Song back in set 5, was in a game like Disney Lorcana, you need to, it's bad to not play on 1, but you almost always need to play on 2. And having something impressive like Calhoun is the best. Like, being able to play on 2 and have Calhoun is just one of the strongest things ever. Calhoun by herself could stop almost everything, and then if you have a lead low swing as well, or they miss a 1-drop, like, you're still in the game. If you send back everything and then you don't even draw a 1-drop or a 2-drop, you're gonna lose, right? It's just very hard. So being able to play on 2 is really important. And then obviously if the hand is pretty like average, you don't have a 2-drop, you might have a 3-drop or a 4-drop. You've sent back everything except these two. Strength is one of the most important cards in the deck, and then the 1-drop is the most important card in the deck, because the likelihood that you draw a 3-drop is really high. So sending it back is always probably right. And then the 4-drops in this deck are just not as sustainable, like, to keep in the hand, because like when you're gonna play the 4-drop, for example, you always want it to be Genie, but if you keep the 4-drop in your hand, the likelihood that you like get kind of bricky is really high, and you might be forced to ink like your strength, which is like terrible, right? You don't want to do that. So that's kind of like the thing I've kind of learned. So doing this almost always, there's also a lot of times where I play Captain Hook and I don't have a 2-drop. I'll just play 1. Like, I could have all 3 Captain Hooks in my hand, right? And I have no 2-drop. I'll play Captain Hook, ink, only play 1 Captain Hook, and that's it. Because the value of the 2-drop is, 1, it's combat stat, and number 2, it's actually just the fact that it adds 1 to strength. So playing even the 1-drop in the turn 2 is really good. Playing the triple 1-drop, I don't know. I don't get it, man. Like, I don't understand triple 1-drops. I don't like triple 1-drops. I don't think it's sustainable anymore. Like, you don't have like insanely snowbally cards, and dumping 3 cards in your hand, 5 cards in your hand, right? Because 2 ink, 3 cards on the board. That's a lot of cards, man. Like, if they're not hitting your Diablo, you're losing so many cards. That's so bad. I never understood it. I still don't like it, but whatever. So Purple Steel is probably one of the easiest but hardest mulligans, I would say. In the perfect world, whether you are on the play or on the draw, you always want 1, 2, 3 strength. Always. The only thing that changes is the health of your hand in terms of inkables, and if you can keep a 4-drop in your hand. The only time I keep a 4-drop in my hand is if I'm on the play and the hand is healthy. Otherwise, I always send a 4-drop back. Worst case scenario is that I get stuck with a book or a Dumbo on curve later on. But the thing is, this is these 4 cards right here are the most important cards in the deck. And again, like if you produce book, if you produce a Yzma or a Genie or a Dumbo or even just another 2-3 drops, like there's just a high likelihood that you do draw into the 4-drop later on. Like you don't want to keep the 4-drop because you keeping the 4-drop in the mulligan likely means you have to ink the 4-drop to play your curve. That's the aspect that bothers me so much. If you keep it in the 7, you're going to be forced to ink it. There's like almost no way to avoid it. If you draw into it, which is very likely because you play 12 4-drops. 12 4-drops? 11 4-drops? 11 4-drops? Yeah, 11 4-drops. Like, you'll see it later, right? So this is like a very easy mulligan, but a very hard mulligan. Because if you mess it up, you're gonna starve. You're gonna starve really hard. Yeah. And so this is the list going further. Again, this has been one of the best decks that I have tested, by far, by miles. The other thing that I'm testing right now is the green-blue that I just made a video on. Also performing really, really well. It's like a 75% win rate in best of ones. I haven't played best of 3 with green-blue yet. This deck has just been amazing. I'd expect a lot of backlash in terms of not having the 12 or 11 1-drops and kind of relying on the Jafar Happy, but they've worked phenomenally for me, so I don't really care. The one thing that I changed in this list was upping Yzma to 4 for Pete, because sometimes I would be forced to ink the Pete for my curve, because I don't necessarily like playing Pete on the play. That's very bad. So that's one change. So I was maybe a little less Pete, just kind of rely on myself being able to maneuver my resources a little bit better. And then I did actually take a loss to my teammate in Swiss that was on Amber Steel. And Lilo helped me swing so much, but his Daisy and Mowgli stripped my strength almost every time. And if I were to have strength on the games that was on the draw, I would have likely 1 in 3 against him, but he had the Mowgli, and I didn't really have any other clear answer or enough bodies to hit a good strength. So I kind of have this idea, I haven't tested this one, to split the Bolt and Lilo. Again, they're very niche cards in themselves, but the thing is, in the situations where they are applicable, they're extremely applicable and they're extremely wanted. That's why I have this kind of split. The likelihood is that I still keep the 2 Lilo. That is very likely for me. Lilo is just, it's gross. It's gross. It's pretty gross. But I can see people wanting Bolt. Again, I've seen a lot of lists on Purple Steel, running Goliath and Demona and things like that. The thing is, I've never needed that curve, right? I don't understand what we're trying to combat. I think it would do really good in the mirror. Demona and stuff would do probably really good in the mirror, just simply because your curve is so much higher and you're kind of tanky. But again, if I'm grinding you out, I get to grind you out, right? Because the likelihood is that you don't have Yzma and things like that. So it's I'm going to grind you out faster than you can establish this funny Demona Goliath thing going on, right? And even if you play Goliath, a really good Purple Steel player is going to balance those 2 cards really well and continuously dump healthily and draw from Goliath, right? So there's just a lot of interactions where I don't really enjoy the list that have been going around, but obviously I'm no pro. I haven't like won CCS or anything with this, but this has definitely been like my pet deck, my secret sauce, and everybody's playing purple steel, right? I'm not gonna say I made this, but this is my variation, and this is the variation that I've had so much fun with. The really one thing that I want to take away is that guidebook is just infinitely better than Doc. I will stand by that. I will never play Doc again. If anything, I would play Doc at 1. I would play Doc at 1, and I've tried to play Doc at 1, and I did enjoy it, actually. But even then, I was like, I'd rather just have Bolt, right, if I'm going to play an unankable card that I sometimes want. So again, this deck has been just absolutely amazing, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it as well. Again, this is like one of the most extensively tested ones that I have done. It's a little difficult, but it gets there every single time. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. This is a longer one. This is like my secret sauce. I really like this one. So I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.